Can you take me back to the day when the incident happened and what you were preparing for?
Yeah, man. It was a typical Monday morning. It was 1 week away from the IBJJF Brown Belt World Championship. Um, I woke up, I went to go train. It was actually supposed to be my last hard training session. After that, I was just gonna drill. And I did the full, like, pro training at Fight Sports. It was a normal training. And then I was literally almost done, bro. And I was like, let me get one last tough round in. And I look around the room and I see my friend Alexander. And I'm like, bro, let's go. And he's like, all right, let's go. So we high five. He tries to go for a takedown on me, and he tried to go for a single leg, and I kicked my leg out and tried to shoot in for a fireman carry. But in the process of doing that, my foot slipped on the wet mat, and he actually landed right here in the process because it was just a bad shot with the slip and everything.
Like he sprawled?
Yeah, he kind of like went spinning around, like to
Yeah.
spin around. And then since I slipped, I had bad posture. And so his body kind of came crashing down right here. And right away, I felt the on my neck. And I instantly screamed. I was like, ah! And right away, I mean, his intention wasn't to hurt me. You know, he was trying to defend
Of
the takedown.
course,
So
of course.
right away, he jumped off me. And I tried to get up and I couldn't. I tried to move my body and nothing worked. And they were like, all right, like, can you feel me moving your leg? And they tried to move my leg and I didn't feel anything. And so right away, they kind of like moved everybody away from me. They stopped the training for a little bit, but then they kept the training going. They like put everybody on the other side of the mat, and they called the paramedics. Paramedics rushed over. They cut my gi off of me. They put me on those little tray things that they carry people, and I was rushed to the hospital. The hospital ride was bad because the moment it happened, of course, it felt like something was wrong. But you know, you had the adrenaline. You're fighting. It didn't really hurt.
Totally.
Like I
Yeah.
didn't feel pain the moment that it happened. But in the ambulance ride, once I started cooling down, I felt the pain, man. And every time that like the ambulance would turn or there would be a bump, what ended up happening was there was like a C5, C6. So the spinal cord is like a bunch of
Yep.
the spine is a bunch of like columns of bones, right? They're all stacked together, and the spinal cord was in the middle. What happened was they dislocated, and so every bump that went, like the bone was just jamming more into the spinal cord. And by the time I got to the hospital, bro, I was in excruciating pain, man. It was really rough, but
Are they like are you hooked up to IVs? Are they giving you like pain medication or anything like that in the ambulance, or is this kind of just like
no,
a
no.
standard
Actually,
ride?
standard ride. Actually, I remembered I was in the ambulance, and my mom lives in Paraguay. She lives overseas. That's where I'm originally from. And I remember I told the paramedic, I was like, hey, like, can you get my phone and call my mom and tell her you guys take me to the hospital? Um, and it was a pretty crazy experience, man. But by the time I got to the hospital, they were like asking me all these questions, trying to do like a survey on me. I was like, bro,
Mhm.
just give me the painkiller to make this stop and do the surgery. You know, I don't care anymore. And then they put me to sleep. I woke up and that was it. I was in the hospital bed already with the neck brace on.
So did they perform emergency surgery, or what was the protocol there? Like when you went under, they obviously give you anesthesia, and usually they do that for a surgery. So what happened? What surgery did they do?
They did a C5 C6 fusion. So what they did is they decompressed. They put everything back in, and I have a rod and two screws here on my spine.
To like bracket it in place, essentially.
Exactly. And
Wow.
so that what that does is it puts the spine back in place and thus taking the pressure off the spinal cord, right?
Oh my God. What was man? I mean, thank you for sharing all this stuff. There's a lot of questions, but like in those initial moments when you come to, what was like the gravity of the situation? I mean, are you have a high pain tolerance, right? You're a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. You've been training for years. You can go hard all the time. You still do.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. And so your mindset is fortified. You're a strong individual physically and mentally. When you wake up from that surgery, what were those initial thoughts? Was your family there? Were your friends around you? Like, what were those the first,
So
day after surgery?
the first person that I saw was actually it was one of the black belts of fight sports. His name is Kodiak Fields. I don't know if you've
Hmm.
heard of him. He's a Masters guy, a really tough guy.
Yep.
I think he's a multiple time world champion. Anyway,
Wow.
Um, I opened my eyes and he's like, "What's up, bro?" Like smiling, all happy, you know, and just great vibes. And you know, it was pretty cool, bro, because when I got hurt, I wasn't alone ever, bro. Like office visiting hours were from 9 a.m. to
Yeah.
9 p.m. And I literally had people rotating. There was like they only allowed. I was in the ICU for the first week, right?
Yeah.
So they only allowed like 2 people in at a time. And man, there was lines of like my friends, my students, my training partners, you know, people that I worked with that that were just circling in and out the whole time. So it was a little bit interesting because I didn't really have time to fully process it, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was the first day or the second day, but after at some point Cyborg walked in to the room.
Mm.
Cyborg's my professor, and he looked at me. He was like, "Ben, right now you have a choice. Who do you choose to be, bro? You can choose to sit here and feel bad for yourself, or you can show the world that you how strong you are and that everything's gonna be okay." And I mean, at that point, bro, like he kind of made the choice for me. Like I wasn't gonna be a little bitch.
Yeah.
That's not who I am,
Yeah.
you know. I wasn't gonna sit there and like, oh no, my life sucks. Like, of course,
Yeah.
like I went through that, bro. Like I went through the process, you know.
Mhm.
But at that point, I made a choice that I was gonna rise above it.